Hey guys, how's it going? So frankly, what we do here. There are at least 100 different ways that you can do things if you look them up on the internet. So I am not here saying that what we are doing is 100% right. I'm just showing you what we do because this is what works for us. And sometimes at the end of the day, you just have to do what you know works for you. So we're going to share that with you today. There's going to be quite a bit of it on hyperlapse, but we'll do some informative blips along the way. But we kind of got to get everything in because it's that time of the year, and it's just time to get it in and get it done. So we also have some fun things that we're going to do. If you count that as not fun or as fun. Okay, so we've got this tray. It's a mixture of many different things, but we're going to work on the tomatillos right now. So, for instance, what we did is we did a multi-sow method. You can see we've got several different tomatillo plants growing in here. Now, realistically, I cannot fit this in a deep enough pot to get all of this buried and create a root system. These guys here are a little bit shorter, and I definitely can. This one here I'm probably going to cull because you can kind of see on the leaves we've had somebody munching on him. So he's just going to be a little bit weaker and probably a late fruiter. So we'll cull him and probably keep these two and then plant out this one for us. And all we're gonna literally do is we're just gonna loosen up the pot like you would anywhere else. And we have all of this root structure in here, okay? Now, you can do this with just your fingers and tease it apart. I've got this little tool here that definitely helps to separate these more tender root strands, and I'm actually just gonna go on ahead and take this guy that I'm gonna cull out, and then I'm gonna go for this guy here and just gently does tease apart the roots, and then voila, we have a nice little tomatillo plant for us. And now we're gonna tease these two guys apart here. These guys are a little tighter. All right. There we go. And as you can see, they've all got a very long, I don't know if you can see that, hopefully you can, but they've all got a nice long root structure. And I have here a potting mix is what I have at this point. We use a Garden Magic. We're able to find that locally currently. I don't know that you will be able to find that locally. We're looking at having to switch brands just because we're not going to be able to get this from Canada for a while. We added some Biotone from Espoma Organic as a fertilizer add-in. You don't necessarily have to do this. This already has food in it as a potting mix, but I wanted to go on ahead and give these guys a really good start. And then we just kind of layer it up, and we will water these little guys in here in a little while. So I'm gonna go on ahead and do that with the rest of these tomatillos, and I'll put, yes, well, I shoved them back under. I thought I had them tucked. Obviously not well enough. Evidently not well enough, okay? So, I see it, I'll grab it. So we're gonna go on ahead and we are going to plant up 4 of the tomatillo plants. We selected the ones that we wanted to keep, and we selected the ones that we wanted to sell. Now, the ones that we're gonna sell, they aren't weaker, they're smaller, yes. Mostly just because they were crowded in that 2-inch pot. But they're going to rebound hugely. Hate to say it that way, they're gonna rebound hugely in the next week, especially with the temperatures that we're gonna be having. In fact, we probably won't be having the trays in the greenhouse, and honestly, I think we're gonna start calling it a cold frame because it acts more like a cold frame. So we're gonna go on ahead and get these planted up, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you which ones we selected for ourselves. So we have, if I can get up here, this is going to be a purple. This one here is one of the ones that we grew last year, and it's a green. And then we have, so a grand total of 3. We have 2 different companies that we are comparing for harvest. So we're comparing Baker's Creek to Botanical Interest in regards to the purple tomatillos. We know how our green tomatillo here produces. This is what we grew last year. We were very happy with it. So we're just gonna see which company does better. So far, the Botanical Interest plants, even though they are smaller, obviously, than the Baker's Creek, they did have a larger root system. And I don't know why. I can't explain it because we did everything else the same. So we're gonna go on ahead and get these planted in, and then we're just going to be running this experiment and see what happens down the road. Okay, so we are going to be doing the exact same thing with our tomatoes. And right here we have a white currant tomato. Now, as you can see in here, we've got quite a few itsy bitsy little teeny tiny guys. Now, you can do one of 2 things. You can keep these and just put them together if you want, probably in opposite corners of a pot. So, for instance, here and here. And then you will have a later tomato and basically insurance policy against any potential blight or pests that may invade your garden early on in the season. This sort of thing does happen. So you can do this and keep them as an insurance policy, or you can just take them out and call them culls, okay? It's gonna take them several weeks to get large enough to be plantable. Now this guy's a little bit larger and he does have a little bit of a root structure. Let me put him on a darker background. You can see right there. Okay, so he's got a little bit more root. And I may go ahead and keep him. I don't know. We're gonna divide these out very much the same way. Gonna fill a little 2-inch pot here. That's a fairly big piece of wood, so I'm gonna take that out. And I'm just gonna kind of tease these guys apart here. Okay, okay? And we've got a really good root structure on this one, so definitely want to keep this guy. And then we're just gonna get in here and do this. I'm gonna keep him over to the side a little bit just in case I want to go ahead and double plant, because I can double plant in these 2-inch pots with how small these guys are. I'd rather not. They'll still get big even in the corner here. And I'm burying the stem here so that we can start a deeper root structure. So the amount of roots that we have plus that stem is going to start to root too is going to give us a really strong and sturdy plant. And if you are in Tornado Alley, much like we are, you will appreciate a very sturdy and stable tomato plant because their roots are very shallow in tendency. So unless it already has a large root structure when you get it, you want to bury the stem. So over here, so you could pick something up this size at a local farmer's market. So if you pick it up and it's got all this stem here, bury it up to these first 2 leaves so that you have that much more root. Hi guys. Okay, so day 2. We obviously didn't get everything. Okay, so you guys totally ended up seeing what we were doing as far as the up potting and the way that we did it. If you have any questions, please comment in the comment section down below, and I will hopefully be able to respond to your comment should the platforms notify me that you've commented, because that has been an issue off and on. But anyway, we're gonna basically be doing a wash, rinse, repeat, because it is that time of year where I am literally doing the same thing, and it is Groundhog Day. Okay, so let's go on ahead and get started, and cross your fingers. I can blast through this part and you guys will be able to see some more fun content very shortly. Okay, let's go. That's really mean. She told me I can only keep 2 of my honeywort. Oh, I think there's a pot over there on the corner. Didn't I leave an empty pot on the barrel thingy? We have a 1-foot-long root. These honeywort are always really pretty though, and it's totally worth it. I'm allowed to plant them in the herb bed, so let's go do that. Okay, so I got those emergency up planted because I didn't realize how big those roots were. They were almost 1 foot long, but we've got a bunch of basils and things to plant out, so I'm going to put you on hyperlapse for that. We've got an opal basil and an Asian basil that we need to get planted in some of the corners of these beds. So I'm going to get you into position, and then we are going to get those guys planted out. Right. Okay guys, so I'm going to cool down here for just a second. And it looks like we might have a little bit of time to jump into the fun, I guess you could say, if planting isn't fun. Maybe not in this heat, it's not fun, or as fun as it could be. It's not normally this hot this time of the year, but yeah, kind of how it goes. All right, so give us a couple minutes and then I'll show you what else we're about to do, okay? Okay, so at one point in time, we had actually tried hard to have level and completely straight beds. However, we live on a dry creek, okay? So we kind of had to learn to just cope with the reality of the situation and realize that, number one, when the water floods up into the yard, it's going to push the bricks. Number two, being that we're on a creek bed, everything shifts over here. Even though we have grass here, everything shifts. So none of the beds stay level. This probably drives quite a few people nuts, especially if you have a type A personality. We've just basically learned that this is part of life. So in lieu of having level and straight beds, we have, I'm probably not going to say it right, it's rock rose. You can find this at most home improvement stores, but we got this from our local garden supply center. She had quite a few in where our local didn't have stuff. The big box stores sometimes don't get things in quite as quickly when garden centers do. So we're gonna go on ahead and put these in some cracks, and let me show you what I mean. All right, bear with me for just a second here. I've got to sort of adjust my stand. Okay, so as you can see, I had this bed almost level last year, and this has popped up. This is kicked out after the last rain. We've got a gap there and a weird gap there. So these guys do really well because it's a type of succulent. It's not perennial for our zone. If you're warmer than 7A, you may be able to overwinter it. Like if you're in Florida or California, it may overwinter for you. It does not do that for us. But what we're going to do is we're going to take these out, and they like to be root constricted a little bit more. So they do not mind being shoved in little tiny holes. We'll do the same down here. You can kind of see we've got this section here. You would have seen me leveling this bed up last year as well. I'll be sticking probably 2 or 3 in there, and then at least 1 down there in that crack. Now, what this does is this just adds a little touch of whimsy, number one, so it's just a little bit of fun. And then it also helps with weeds. So anything that you've got natively growing that likes to take over, this just kind of fills a hole, because if you don't put something there, nature will. And I don't particularly want what we have native in the yard in my garden beds here. So we're gonna go on ahead and get these guys shoved in real quick, okay? Let me put you on hyperlapse so you can see what we're doing. All right, sorry, there's a dip there. Now, those will perk up and they will size up over time. It doesn't really take them that long. Whew. When I tell you it's hot out here. It doesn't take them long to establish themselves, especially if you water them in really well the first week, at least not for us here in this zone. So, all right, this was day 2 of that vlog, And thank you for bearing with me. I know I'm a little tired and winded here, but we got quite a bit done. There's still a lot to do out here, but we got quite a bit done, and I will come back on a separate video and show you our tomato planting and probably pepper planting. But that's going to be at least a couple more weeks away because it's too soon in our area. Alright, so I'm going to go on ahead. I'm going to sign this vlog off, and I think Mom's almost done touch watering everything, and we are going to head in and get cleaned up. And guys, keep it simple, natural, and essential, and I will see you on the next video. If you guys have any questions or comments, or if I wasn't clear on something, please feel free to comment down below and let me know, and I will be sure to clarify myself because I don't want this to be confusing for you. So, alright, I'll talk to you later.